Pat Walker here with Mission Winners. It is Sunday and once again time to dive into the ETFs and MAXLIST stocks. So here's the first one, ARK Innovation. And you can see right here, there's a clean base here. ARKK taking out that top, taking out that line, could be a potential buy on ARKK. By the way, this is weekly on the left and daily on the right, just to frame it up. And you can see the time axis right there and there. So ARKK, let's move on. And by the way, this is a fact. Clean and simple base entries, best setup to make money. And this is a clean and simple flat base. Move on. ARKW, this is a slight downward sloping trend line. It's not that bad. Needs to take out these tops. Has to go up at about 2 points plus just to get to it, okay? So be aware of that. It's going to use some energy. It's going to expend quite a bit of energy just to get to the pivot, all right? Buying power. Buying power is going to be used up. So be aware of that. Continue onward. Biotechnology. Biotechnology is a tough industry. I'll tell you this right now. Runs up and reverses down. Little loose right here. Be careful with that. When you see a lot of price gaps, it tells you lack of investor conviction, all right, with biotechnology. Continue onward. Cloud computing. Now, this is a nice base right here, and I'll draw this to help you. This is the daily, and over here is the weekly. There we go. So what's it need to do? Take out the top here with volume. Analyzing price and volume, and we do this at Mission Winners. What do you notice about the volume the last couple of days? Oh, it's picking up, Pat. That's exactly right. That's something we'll have to take a look into. I'd watch this going into next week on cloud computer and taking out that line. Now, here's a great tactic for you. Where do you set your price alert? Oh, you set it at the line. No, always set the alert a little early. Like, you see where I put it? So that way, if it triggers, you can watch it as it starts approaching the pivot. Is it going up? Oh, is it going up with volume on lesser time frames? That will help you make better investing decisions. And we like that. That's great education right there, by the way. That's what we teach at Mission Winners. Energy, kind of sloppy right here. You can see ton of overhead supply, tail bar here and here and here and here. Just a little sloppy. I'd be careful with that. Continue onward. Dow Jones Internet. Now this one has clean tops across here. And I'll draw this to help you. I used to teach this at the IBD meetups for years, like 12 years. There's the base. Possibly take that out. That could be a potential buy if the market's okay. By the way, notice what it did Friday. Closed near the highs on a pickup in volume. Not extremely heavy, but a pickup. So watch that. FDN. Let's continue onwards. IBD 50's lagging. Now that's a concern. The IBD 50 is a great list of stocks, but so far there's not a lot of power in it. So just be a little cautious with the markets. Continue on. Gold miners, it starts to lift up, it tails down. There's some distribution in here, red volume bars. It's choppy, it's sloppy, it's not clean and simple. Be careful with gold miners. GDX, junior gold miners, same situation. Now gold doesn't look as bad. Do a compare and contrast. Well, this is kind of chopping around. Oh, this one's just kind of going flat. You're exactly right. It's going sideways, telling us there's good equilibrium between buyers and sellers. Perhaps take that line out with volume. Could be a buy on GLD. Continue onwards. Hack, cybersecurity. I think that is a great ticker symbol for a cybersecurity ETF. Hack, right? Go across these tops right here. There's good volume on this bar. Look at that. Good accumulation. Now look at the weekly. Possibly taking out these tops. Right across there, just simple tops. And man, there was some good volume on that bar. So something maybe to watch going forward for this week. HACK. Continue onwards. IBB, biotechnology. Biotechnology can be tough. I'll just tell you that right now. Runs up, gaps up, runs up, and reverses down. It's kind of loose here. You can see these tops right here, though. Notice this. And again, on these videos, and I do this with the ETFs all day, every day, with the VIPs. Going across there. Be nice if it formed a little handle. Now, let's do a little bit in-depth analysis. It gapped up. See where it gapped up? The little hash mark to the left runs up, and look at where it closes. It closed below where it opened. It was met with selling pressure. What does that tell us? Just be a little careful. Tells us there's a seller there. There you go. Here's another very important lesson. Don't scrunch up your bars so tight, your price bars, that you can't see them. have them spread out enough that you can see the nuances of the chart. That will help you a lot. Retailing, kind of loose here, okay? I mean, a lot of price gaps. Tells you just be a little careful with online retailing. Continue onwards. Oil and gas, kind of loose. I mean, look, oh, it's running up, it reverses down. Oh, it's running up, it reverses down. Drops like a rock. Oh, look, it runs up, it reverses down. There's not a lot of buying conviction, so stay away from oil and gas. Done. Enhanced software. This has a clean base here on the weekly, and you can also see on the daily some tops going across here. I'll draw this just to help. There you go. It's just a simple downward sloping line. It's not a steep line, it's a gradual line. What does it need to do? Take out this line. What's the negative? Well, it rallied up and it closed near the lows on this bar, did it on lower volume, then it does it again here. It's met with selling, right? Look, it runs up and reverses down and closes below where it opened on a pickup in volume. It tells us there's a seller at that line, or there are sellers at that line. It's not a conspiracy thought. It's just the cold, hard reality looking at the charts. So what's it need to do to take this out? But it's really not showing a lot of power right here, is it? So just be a little careful with that, okay? On IGV. Let's move on. And again, we're just looking at the ETFs here, going for, moving forward. U.S. medicine's picking up a little bit. I think a big part of this is Eli Lilly, which we own, and this stock's working. Now, looking at the weekly, you can see the top. You look at the daily and say, oh, it's made a good move. This would be the best thing this could do. On this big move, it's expended a lot of buying energy. It would be nice if it could form a handle here. That would be constructive. Get rid of some selling, and then you've got a cup with a handle formation, and that would be a good entry spot for buying. Let's move on. Nothing to do with it now. IJIH, mid cap, a little choppy here. Look at the tail bars on the weekly. Oh, it goes up, it drops like a rock. Oh, it goes up and reverses down. Then it gaps down the next day. Not a lot of buying conviction. Be careful. Let's move on. Aerospace and defense, clean base right here, and it's lifting off. It's a little bit extended, okay? So be careful with that. But what does it tell us? Well, maybe look into some aerospace and defense stocks. You can punch up ITA and look at their top 10 holdings. That's a great place to start. There we go. Now, buying the ETF, little extended, so be careful with that. In here, okay? And I do believe we own this, to tell you the truth. So there we go. We're in it, so we'll let it work. There we are. And we own it from the pivot. ITB, U.S. home construction, forming a cup with a high handle here, but a little bit of choppy action here. Be a little careful with home construction. IVW, basing here. You can see across these tops here. This is the S&P 500 growth. What does this need to do? And I'll help you here. I love helping. It's a cup with a handle on IVW. It needs to take out that line, and it needs to do with volume. Good. Move on. Tells us growth. Okay. IWM has formed a low-level cup with handle, and I'll draw this just to help you. There's nothing fancy here, folks. I've been doing this for years, and it works. It's a low-level cup with a handle, but note it fell on heavy selling volume here, folks. Look at those selling bars. Tells you just to be a little bit careful with that, okay? Move onwards. Real estate. Look at how that's acting. Decent. And we own some real estate stocks. It's acting fine. There's a little shelf right here, and I'll draw this just to help you. Right there. It needs to take that out, and it needs to take it out with volume. Now, please note, I educate all the time. This is a shorter base, all right? It's not a long base. It's less reliable. It's riskier. If you buy, how control risk? Just go smaller, and that will help you. IYT, transportation, picking up here a little bit, but no, there's no volume in here, folks. There's no real buying conviction yet, so I'd be cautious with that, okay? Let's move on. Airlines picking up. Look at all the overhead supply on the weekly and the daily. I mean, look at all this. Stay away from the airlines right now, okay? They're grounded. Bad humor, I had to say it. I'm sorry. Regional banks picking up. This is forming kind of a low-level cup with a handle. And note on this bar, it went up heavy volume. These are the things we teach in Mission Winners. Oh, up on heavy volume, pulls back on less volume. Perhaps, and I don't know the future, okay? I don't do that. Well, this is what's going to happen now. But you can see it's kind of a low-level cup with handle. Take that out. What else do you notice about it? The last 3 days that it's been going up in price, it's going up on steadily increasing volume too, on KBE. Maybe something to watch for this week. KIE insurance was a little bit extended, okay? But it's been acting okay. Back in here, somebody could have said, there's a cup and a handle. Maybe I should look into some insurance stocks. All right. It's a bit extended now, so I wouldn't do anything with it, but I'm just pointing out how you use the tactics. KRE, regional banks. And I'll draw this for you right here. There you go. And I'll say it again. Please don't think the cup and a handle has to be perfectly flat. It doesn't. But also remember this. Beware if you have cup and handle formations that the downward sloping trend line is steep like that. Just drawn out what you don't want to do that. That's too risky. This is nice and gradual. What do we want to do? And by the way, look at where it went up on this bar. Look at the volume. They voted. KRE, it's something to watch this week. Let's move on. Mid cap, kind of hanging in there. It's also forming a cup with a handle. The mid cap stocks, not a bad thing. Really no super great entry on it right here. Perhaps across these tops. I'll draw this just to help. And what you do, and this is what I always taught at the IBD, find the ones that fit you. But I do encourage you, focus on simplicity. Things that are easy for you to see, therefore by default, it's easier for others to see, which increases the odds that they see it and they'll buy too. There we are. Let's move on. Nail, I think it's a great ticker symbol for a home builder ETF. Nail. Isn't that awesome? They could either call it nail or wood. I don't, maybe there is a wood ETF. I don't know. There might be a stock with wood. Okay. Runs up, drops on fairly heavy volume, rallies up, but a lot of skittish action. Another reversal bar here. It's kind of loose. I'd be careful with this ETF, okay, in the home builder realm. All right. Oil services, stay away. I mean, folks, do a compare and contrast. Well, that one doesn't look too bad. Next one, nope, leave that alone. Now, what does that tell? See, this is power for us at Mission Winners. In 1 second, it says, I better stay away from the oil service stocks. That's great to know. It's good to know what to look into. It's good to know what to stay away from. Opposite sides of the same coin. Pharmaceuticals acting great for us, trending nicely. And we own Eli Lilly, and it's working great. LLY. I'm not saying buy it now, but note, there's a valuable lesson. It was acting strong here. It was acting strong on the weekly. Formed a high handle right here. It takes off and marches. It was near 52, or it was at 52-week highs when it lifted off. Nothing to do with it now, but note how it's just trending. Trends will pay more than any other thing, any other tactic you can use. All right? Just want to share that with you. Let's move on. Nothing to do with it now, but it does say pharmaceuticals have been strong. Let's move on. And you might get in there. I'll take this back and say, you might punch up PPH and just punch up the top 10 holdings and see if there's something else in there. That's a great study. In fact, I encourage you to do that. Google PPH, top 10 holdings, PPH. Just look at the charts and you'll go, yeah, look at that. And I bet you money, I'll bet my life on it. Some of them broke out right in here. The date on that's 8/13. Take a look. I've been doing this a long time. I was running money in 1987. This stuff works. It makes you money and it keeps you safe. Opposite sides of the same coin. QLD's picking up, but it really needs to show some power through the 50-day, okay? And it fell on fairly heavy volume here, so this needs to, NASDAQ 100 needs to show some power. QQQ, same situation. Retailing, just kind of sloppy here. A lot of gaps in there. No real clean entry. Be careful with retail. Cloud computing, another technology ETF. Surprise, surprise. Are we involved with technology? Yeah. This is forming a cup. Here's a deeper base. This has formed a cup with a high handle. It needs to take out these tops, and I'll draw the line to help you. Take this out with volume. And the Mission Winners, we show these things every day. Every day. It's what we do. I'm passionate about it. Silver, it's tarnished, leave it alone. That's my dad humor. Steel, no power there, leave it alone. Semiconductors, there's really not a lot of power at this point in time. This needs to take out the 50-day with some volume. Till that happens, just leave it alone. Tells you to be cautious with semiconductors. The leveraged one, same situation. Spiders has a nice, look at the cup and handle on the weekly, and look at the daily, and look at the volume that came into it. These are telltale signs that we use to make investing decisions. Look what it did Friday, and I'll make this bigger for you. See that? Look at the volume pickup, and it closed near the highs. Those are telltale signs to say, hey, maybe I should buy some. You don't go big, and this is an important lesson for everybody. This is the most important thing I'm going to say in this video. Never buy a full position at one time. Ease into the stocks. That's CANSOM level 3, and 4. You buy, in strictest sense, you buy a 50% position, it continues going up. You buy 30% more, it continues going up. You buy 20% more. 50, 30, 20 for a total of 100. But you only add, like I said, those add-on positions if price and volume justify you buying more. Remember that. And also remember this, and I've been doing this a long time. Just because it's a great stock in a great group with great numbers, that's no guarantee it's going to go up. Lose the opinion, let price and volume guide you. It will really help. I used to say this all the time. People talk with their mouths and vote with their pocketbooks. We go where they're voting, and it's measured by good price action with volume. All right, so there's spiders. You can see a cup and a handle. I like that. Wonder what the next one is. SSO, how about that? Going across these tops right here. That's something to look into. SSO. Or spiders, either or. I like SSO. It's plenty fluid, does a ton of volume. So there we go. SSO, the S&P 500. Solar's lagging. Do a compare and contrast. Well, that base doesn't look too bad here, Pat. Kind of a base up here. Oh, yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Oh, there's no power there. Leave it alone. Lagging. Leave it alone. Done. Small cap, a little choppy. Be careful with small cap. Oil services, lagging. Leave it alone. XAR, aerospace and defense. And I bet you Lockheed Martin's in this. LMT. I'll bet money. In fact, I know it is. Okay. And it's acting decent. A little choppier up here. It's a little extended also, so be careful with that. Biotechnology. This is a nice downward sloping trend line. Needs to take out the top of this line. What's one slight negative? On this bar, it ran up and closed below where it opened. It was met with selling pressure on a slight pickup in volume. So what does that tell us? It needs to take out this line, it needs to take out these tops, and it needs to do it with volume. There we go. Home builders, that's kind of a cup and a handle formation right here. We already own some home builders. Right through there. Cup with a handle. Something to bear watching going forward. Okay. A little sloppier on the weekly, though. Look at the selling volume on that bar. And this bar. So just things to be aware of. Continue onwards. There we go. Materials. How do you build a house? You need materials. And look what this is doing. It's acting okay. It's a little too extended. There's no clean entry on it, but you can see you connecting the dots. Home builders acting decent. Oh, you need materials to build a house. Well done. That's the work we do here. Communication services. I like this base here. Watch this. We'll get rid of this line, but then we're going to go to the weekly. Here's a valuable lesson for everybody. This is why we look at weekly and daily side by side. Look at that base. Isn't that nice? Take out these tops here, which is the same line right here, okay? Take that out with volume. It's going to need volume on XLC for communication services. All right? There we go. By the way, don't think, oh, I've got to buy everything breaking out. No. This is the most important thing I'm going to say on this video. I've been doing this a long time. I was running money in 1986, 87. Okay. So, and not just a little, a lot of money. So do this. Focus, master a couple of chart setups. I really mean this, folks. I'm speaking from my heart. Master a couple of chart setups. Own them. Make them yours. Do those. Do those. And turn off the noise. And forget the comparison game. Oh, they're doing this. Maybe I should do this. Find some setups that work, make them yours, turn off the noise, and you'll be better for it. Move on. Energy's just choppy here. Leave it alone. Financial's picking up a little bit. That's nice to see. Look at that. Look at the base right there. And it's working. Don't chase it up here, but it does tell you. And here's an important investing maxim. The markets like good financial action, good action in financial stocks and in the financial groups. That's good to remember. By the way, it's tough for markets to advance when the financials aren't advancing. That's just facts. Here we go. Industrials acting decent. XLK, still not a lot of lift yet. So very selective with technology. Consumer staples trending up. That's nice to see. Utilities, that's good to see. Utilities, interest rate sensitive, slowly grinding up. I'm not saying buy it, but it is interest rate sensitive. It's telling us that interest rate action is accommodative to buying stocks. Because if it wasn't, XLU wouldn't be going up in price. How about that? Isn't that neat? Healthcare is acting decent. It tells you can be involved in healthcare. Consumer discretionary is forming a cup and a handle. Doesn't look too bad. Metals and mining lagging a little bit. Oil and gas lagging a little bit. Retailing lagging a little bit. You can see it on the weekly. I'll go back to it. See that right there? There's not a lot of power there. Continue onwards. XSW. Well, that one doesn't look too bad, does it? Yeah, and we're involved with software. And you see that line right there? If this starts to lift up, maybe tell you to buy some software stocks. I'm not saying buy this ETF, though. You could say, why? It doesn't do any volume. On this bar, folks, the stock did volume of 4,600 shares. 4,600 shares. That's it. It trades thin. But it's a good proxy to say, hey, maybe looking at some software stocks. That's why we show you. Okay, so that was the ETFs. Now we dive into the MAXLIST stocks. But first, let me ask you, have you hit that subscribe button yet? We noticed that only about 40% of the viewers on our weekly videos are subscribed. If you have enjoyed this video so far, please hit the subscribe button. It is 100% free, and it helps us get more great videos to you. Oh yeah, the like button, also please do hit that. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Now let's get into the MAXLIST stocks. This is my favorite list, like I said. Here's Apple. On Thursday, it gapped up, ran up, and reversed down and closed in the bottom third of its range on a slight pickup in volume. It was met with selling pressure. Now it lifted up on Friday, but then it gapped up and then it faded off the highs. So what do we need to see? We need to see Apple take out the highs of this bar with volume. There you go. By the way, I look at this every day and I do analysis for our VIPs every day with this format, and it works. Amazon lifting up here. Now this was basing here, okay? And I want to show you something very important. Amazon, it's a MAXLIST stock. I look at these MAXLIST stocks. Watch this. You can say, well, that's kind of basing across here. I'll draw you a line to help you. Across these tops. Take it to the hourly. And look right there, the base right there. And I'll draw this to help you. And we talked about this with our members extensively Friday morning. Basing, and look what it does. Starts to push through these tops with a pickup in volume, not heavy, but then look at the igniting bar here, okay, taking out these tops. And we were buying. We bought several times, and it's working. Why? Well, it's a simple base. It's a MAXLIST stock, and volume was coming into it. They were voting. This will really help you, folks. This is for everybody. Look for price action backed by volume. Volume tells us other people see what we see and they're buying it. And isn't that what we want? Well, yeah, it is. And it's a good start. We'll watch this and see what happens. Let's continue on here. By the way, weekly, and go back to the daily. I love this template. And you can see that base right there. That's a thing of beauty. And it's lifting off, and again, good volume. So we'll watch and see what happens. Let's move on. Alibaba, it's gappy. It's really gappy right now, okay? Also, it doesn't look that great on the weekly. Be careful with that. When you see a lot of price gap, I mean, look, oh, it's going. Oh, gosh, I got a problem. Be careful with that, okay? Oh, look, it's breaking out. It's running. Oh, it gaps down. Oh, this is it. This is the breakout. It gaps down. It's too gappy right now. Stay away from it for the time being, okay? Trying to help. BIDU's lagging. It's below the falling 50-day. Leave it alone. Done. That's simple. Google lagging. It's below the falling 50-day. There's no power in it at this point in time. There's distribution on the weekly too. Eventually it will change. Okay. It's Google. It's a MAXLIST stock. But right now there's not a really clean setup with it. Meta. I like the base that's forming here on the daily. And here it is on the weekly. And I'll do something for you that will help you. We're going to take this off. And we're going to do this on the weekly. You've got some tops right there. We owned this back here, by the way, and that was a rocket ship, folks. Let me tell you. Simple base on the weekly, nice trend. This is basing, and you can see on the weekly, and you can do the same thing on the daily. This is a great tactic, folks. Right there. Clean tops. Now, what's it need to do? We need to see some power with this because there's some selling in here, right in here, okay? So we've got to watch this and see, and see what happens. Starts to bounce off the 21 EMA right here. I already have the price alert set. You see this? Also, did you notice it's not at the highs of this bar, it's a little lower. I'll drop it a bit more. If this could bounce off the 21-day, that's the blue line, 21-day exponential, with volume, it could be a potential buy. And yeah, we'll be ready. You can see here on the weekly, it's bouncing off the 10-week moving average. So we're prepared. Let's continue onward. Microsoft's lagging. There's really not too much to do with it, so leave it alone. Goldman Sachs. I like the base here on Goldman Sachs. And I'll draw this to help you. Just simple tops across there. There you go. And what's it need to do? It needs to push through. Now, great chart analysis for everybody. What do you notice about the chart the last couple of days? Well, it's starting to pick up here a little bit, Pat, and volume's picking up each day. It's starting to pick up. Those are telltale signs. Now, is that a guarantee it's going to break out? No, but more times than not, it does lead to a breakout. So we're prepared. Take out these clean tops here with volume. That's what it needs. And always remember this. Please know the earnings dates. Please be careful buying just before earnings. That's very aggressive. MasterCard's picking up here a little bit. Had a lower level top here, and I'll show you right here. Right in there. There you go. And it lifted off. And here it is here. It's picking up. It's a little bit extended now. Okay. So be careful with that. Don't chase. Try to buy close to the pivot, folks, to the base breakout. Don't chase price. You open yourself up to bigger losses. That's a fact. Okay. Netflix. I like this cup with a high handle. You've got a downward sloping trend line. And I'll draw this for you. This is the work we do at Mission Winners. This is a downward sloping trend line. By the way, note, oh, look, it went up on that's a volume bar there going up. Oh, look, there's another volume bar going up. Oh, look, there's another volume bar going up. That's building a case. Downward sloping trend line. What do we want to see? Push through that line with volume. That's what we're after. Okay, that's Netflix. Continue onwards. NVDA has been, this is the one I want to show. You see that base right there on the weekly? We were buying this. This was on the key list before it broke out, and we talked about it a lot. And we were loaded in it here and here. That was good money. Okay. Now, what's it doing here? Well, it could be maybe forming a cup with a handle. And I'll show you on the weekly when I'm saying this is a stretch though. Okay. It's a bit of a stretch here. And it is also on the daily. So what do we want to see? Well, watch this. We're going to show you something here to help. High across that bar and this bar. What do you notice, folks? It's just a simple flat base. It's nothing fancy. Now, there's some distribution in it though. Distribution here and there. So what do we need to see? We need to see this start to lift up with volume, because they sold it on this bar and they sold it on this bar and they sold it on the weekly too, as you can see. So we need to see some power. Until you do, leave it alone. That's a good lesson right there. Tesla's below the 50-day, okay? And it's really not showing much power, is it? This needs to start to lift up. Until it does, be careful with it. What could be a potential entry? Well, taking out Friday's highs with volume, pushing through the 50-day with volume. We'll watch and see what happens. There we go. Then we got Visa. Visa's lifting up here a little bit. There's no real clean entry on it at this point in time, okay? So be careful with that. And then we go back up to the top. All right, team, that's our weekly review. Hope it helps you get a clearer picture of where the market's headed and what stocks to keep an eye on. By the way, don't forget about our weekly top stocks to have on your watch list video coming out tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're curious about what we covered last week, you can find the link to that video in the top right corner. Remember, these watch list videos are just a small taste of what our VIP members get with the daily key list videos on missionwinners.com. So if you're serious about finding those super performance stocks, consider joining us. Now, I'm curious to hear from you. What are your thoughts on today's market review? Do you have any questions or concerns? Feel free to drop a comment below. I love hearing from you. Thanks for sticking around for the whole video. If you liked it, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. And remember, stay sharp, keep learning, and keep finding those winners.